Every bucket list begins somewhere, and for car lovers, it often starts with machines that feel familiar yet legendary. Of the top 25 cars that should be on your bucket list, here's 25 through 21. And these 5 vintage cars sit at the gateway of greatness. They're affordable, influential, and unforgettable. They shaped automotive culture long before collector hype took over the conversation. On today's episode of Horsepower Nation. Now, not every iconic vintage car was born exotic or exclusive. Some became legends because they were everywhere. Others earned their status by punching far above their weight. From post-war Europe to Detroit drag strips, these cars are ranked 25 through 21, and they represent the foundation of enthusiast culture. These machines arrived during moments of change, economic growth, performance wars, and shifting consumer tastes, shaping how they were designed and why they mattered. They weren't built to become collectibles. They were built to be driven, raced, customized, and lived with. Over time, that authenticity became their greatest strength. Today, these cars remain deeply woven into automotive identity. Their most sought-after years reflect the moments when design, performance, and timing align perfectly. Now, this chapter of the bucket list explores the 5 vehicles that prove legendary status isn't reserved only for the top 10. It often happens much earlier. Number 25, the Volkswagen Beetle, particularly models produced between 1956 and 1967. This car earns its place on the vintage car bucket list through global impact rather than raw performance. Few cars in history have been as widely recognized or culturally influential. The Beetle's rounded shape, rear-engine layout, and mechanical simplicity made it instantly identifiable and endlessly approachable. The most sought-after Beetles come from the oval window era and early square window years before emissions equipment altered the design. European-built examples are especially prized for build quality and originality. These years represent the Beetle in its purest form, before modernization softened its character. What makes the Beetle special is its versatility. It became basic transportation, a motorsport platform, a counterculture symbol, and a blank canvas for customization. Drag racers, dune buggy builders, and restoration purists all gravitated toward the same humble foundation. Now, on a bucket list, the Beetle represents experience over excess. Driving one reveals mechanical honesty rarely found in modern cars. Light steering, modest power, and distinctive engine sound created a connection that feels personal and unfiltered. The Beetle's longevity proves its brilliance. Millions were built, yet the best early examples remain deeply desirable. It's not rare by numbers, but rare in the way that transcends borders, generations, and automotive categories with effortless charm. Number 24, the AMC Javelin, particularly those produced from 1968 through 1970. Now, this car, in its most desirable form, stands as one of the most underrated muscle cars of that era. American Motors Corporation never enjoyed the resources of Detroit's giants, but the Javelin proved ingenuity could compete with volume. Its design was aggressive, modern, and intentionally bold. Early Javelins gained credibility through motorsports, particularly Trans Am racing. The success of battery-backed race cars elevated the street versions, giving AMC performance legitimacy. Models equipped with the SST trim and Go package are the most sought after, offering upgraded suspension, brakes, and visual cues that distinguish them from the base cars. What separates the Javelin from its peers is its individuality. It does not blend into the Mustang or Camaro crowd. Its proportions, interior layout, and styling details feel distinct. That difference appeals to enthusiasts who value rarity without sacrificing performance. Driving a Javelin reveals balance rather than brute force. While capable engines were available, the chassis tuning and road manners reflected AMC's racing focus. It feels purposeful, not just powerful. The Javelin earns bucket list status by defying expectations. It represents the idea that muscle car greatness was not limited to the biggest manufacturers. Its short production window preserved its identity and ensured that it would remain a conversation piece long after the muscle era faded. Number 23. The Ford Fairlane Thunderbolt, particularly the 1964. Now, the Ford Fairlane Thunderbolt occupies a unique position in automotive history. It was never intended for the general public. Built strictly to dominate drag racing, the Thunderbolt was a factory-engineered weapon disguised as a mid-sized sedan. only a small number were produced, making every surviving example legendary. At its core was a high-compression 427 cubic inch V8 paired with aggressive weight reduction measures. Fiberglass body panels, stripped interiors, and purpose-built components tuned the Fairlane into a quarter-mile specialist. It was not subtle engineering, it was intentional dominance. Now, what elevates the Thunderbolt to bucket list status is its authenticity. It represents a time when manufacturers openly built race cars for the street to satisfy homologation rules. There was no marketing spin, the mission was speed, and nothing else mattered. Ownership today is more custodial than recreational. These cars are preserved, studied, and revered. They are rarely driven hard, not because they can't be, but because history demands restraint and respect. The Thunderbolt proves that greatness is not measured by comfort or versatility. It exists as a frozen moment of factory rebellion when engineers were allowed to chase victory without compromise for corporate rules. Number 22. The Plymouth Duster 340, particularly those produced between 1970 and 1972. This car earned its reputation as a giant killer by combining lightweight with serious power. Built on a compact platform, the Duster delivered performance that embarrassed larger, more expensive muscle cars. The 340 cubic inch V8 was the heart of that package. High revving, responsive, and underrated from the factory, it transformed the Duster into a legitimate performance threat. Combined with relatively low curb weight, the result was explosive acceleration and nimble handling. What makes the Duster special is accessibility. It was affordable when new, and it remains one of the more attainable muscle cars today. That approachability fueled grassroots racing and street performance culture. The Duster was driven hard, modified aggressively, and raced without apology. Styling also played a role. The semi-fastback roofline and bold graphics gave the Duster an identity separate from traditional muscle cars. It looked fast even when it was standing still. On a bucket list, the Duster represents the thrill of maximum return. It proves that smart engineering and restraint can outperform excess. The best examples from these years remain raw, honest, and deeply satisfying to experience. And finally, number 21, the Chevy Bel Air, 1955 to 1957. The Chevy Bel Air defines the soul of the 1950s American automotive culture. Known collectively as the Tri-5 Chevrolets, these cars represent optimism, style, and post-war confidence. Few vehicles have influenced hot rodding and customization more profoundly. Each year brought refinement. 1955 introduced the small block V8, changing performance forever. The 1956 refined that formula. The 1957 perfected it with iconic styling cues that remain instantly recognizable. These cars became cultural symbols rather than mere transportation. The Bel Air's bucket list appeal lies in its versatility. It can be preserved in factory condition, customized into a showpiece, or transformed into a high-performance resto mod. No matter what the approach is, the foundation remains timeless. Driving a Tri-5 Bel Air delivers presence rather than aggression. Long hoods, chrome accents, and expansive interiors create an experience rooted in style and confidence. The Bel Air endures because it captures a moment when cars were expressions of hope and individuality. Its influence stretches far beyond its production years, securing its place near the top of any vintage bucket list. Now, from the global simplicity of the Beetle to the cultural dominance of the Bel Air, bucket list greatness begins long before the top 10. These 5 cars prove that influence, accessibility, and identity matter as much as rarity. They're not just starters, they are foundations of automotive passion. Well, that's it for today's episode. I hope you liked it. This is a new series for me, and there's going to be 4 more episodes, counting down through the top 25, 5 cars at a time. So do me a favor, share this video, like this video, sign up to support the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, take care and have yourself a great day.